Right, didn't film it because, well, you'd have seen it in about 3 or 4 of my other videos where I've done it to that engine and this original engine and whatever. But yeah, heads on, ARP head studs in and torqued up, cams in like you'd have seen in the previous video, shims are all good, timing is in the right place. I haven't put the wheels on yet because, like a dickhead, while I need to put the front cam seal in, because I'm going decent management, there's going to be no dizzy at the back anymore, so I need the rear plug. So I don't want to, because what you really need to do, needs to stop any chance of oil leaking, is add a little bit of sealant on these front and rear cam caps under there, because they're known to seep now and again from that join. But I can't do that, of course, until, well, I sort of can, but I would rather not do it until the cam cap's in the right place, the rear one, just in case I have to remove it and get it in the right place again. So don't matter, because it's not like it's going in the car today, so whatever. But yeah, aside from the basics, the engine's pretty much back together. This is the cam cover. Obviously it's not going on yet until I put the all that on. I'll probably put it on now just to get rid of any chance of shit getting in it. But yeah, progress. Now I need just to get on with the rest of it. I need to clean that engine bay, because it's obviously grotty as hell. Once it's clean, yeah, get on with it. ABS delete, wiring. Well, ABS is gone now. I just need to modify the brake pipes, do the wiring, which I'm going to do as simple as humanly possible. I've got plans for it. It makes it simpler than most people's, but you know, functional. Snazzy cam covers on. Pretty badass for just a quick spray can job. Just get the engine bay. The first cleanest probably ever had in this life, just literally with a jet wash, and it's alright. I mean, you could, it's still a bit grubby, you could carry on cleaning it for ages and you know, wiping it and this, that, the other, but I'm literally doing it just so I haven't got such a disgusting place to work in. So this is clean enough. If it ain't coming off, you know, easily with a jet wash, even at close range, then it's not coming off on me that easy, so this will be fine. It's certainly cleaner than it's ever been. I mean, a lot of this was, I've never seen it red before, so this will do. Right, I decided it was about time to have a look at the state of the bottom end that was originally in the 940. And as you'll have seen from this last year and a half or so of videos, it's handled 2 bar plus for ages, and it's also done somewhere over 200,000 miles, because I can only guess, because the clocks were changed at some point on the car, so the MOT things don't exactly tally up, but it's looks somewhere significantly over 200,000. So yeah, let's have a look. I mean, you've seen it cope, it's fine, but it was clearly very fucking worn out. And to be honest, going by the compression numbers, it had so much blow by that I can imagine half the combustion process was going on in the crankcase. So let's have a look. First thing I notice is it's incredibly black. Yeah, that is super black. I mean, nothing broke, remember. The oil light was coming on and it had really, really low compression, but nothing was truly broke. Just as you can see, everything was fucking coated with this black, nasty oil. But it did have oil squirters, there you go. This block is a squirter block. I mean, it was, you can see from the outside it was drilled for it, but it don't necessarily mean it had them in it. But yeah, oil squirters. Looks like debris in the oil pickup. I'll Let's see if I can have a look what's in it. Let's see what we can fish out of here. That is... feels like metal, but it feels like wire, like gauze. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's a mix of... I'm not sure. It's not rubber sealant, it's quite hard. It feels like very soft metal. Maybe bits of bearing, I'm not sure. Oh, there's a lot more. That bit's rubber. That is metal. Quite a lot of metal. Most of that's metal. Right, I took the whole thing off to have a look. Yeah, that's a lot of shit still in it. Let me get it out and I'll spray some brake cleaner on it and we can do a analysis of all this shit that's in it. Most of it looks like metal though. Holy shit, look at all this in the pickup. Fucking hell. But the engine lived with all that abuse. Most of this feels, some of that's rubber, that feels like rubber. Most of it though is metal. Where the fuck did all that come from? Right, let's go through it all and see what we can find. Just did a bit of like gold panning, but for fucked engine bits. And that is that's probably about half of it, because I did my best with cleaning it out, but all I could see as I was brake cleaning and stuff was like little bits of metal washing down. I mean, there's little silver flecks all over the place. They must be aluminium, or I don't know what it is, maybe bits of bearing, I'm not sure. This lot, almost all black metal chunks. Not sure what they are though, loads of them, but it's metal. But surely, wow, whatever that is, I'm gonna be able to find out where that came from by taking this apart, because this is a fucking lot of metal. Apart from that, there's a little bit of red sealant there, but not much, so that's kind of good. And a big seal there, well, a part of, about a quarter of a big seal, which I don't know. A lot of them were that colour, so maybe at some point in its life, either the seal broke or they was replacing it and dropped it into the engine somewhere. But it got caught in the pickup in the end. But all of this black shit is metal. Lots of metal. It's quite flat, but mostly curved. It's like it's a piston ring. But surely if a piston ring broke up, well, that would explain the lack of compression. But surely the bores would be fucked. I don't know. Let's take it apart and have a look. But that's incredible amounts of metal for an engine that still ran and was running like £30 a boost. Fucking hell. Good old Volvo Redblocks, they can take a fucking kicking. Well, oil pump's off. Looks pretty ordinary. I could strip it down and see how damaged it is inside, but to be honest, oil pumps are pretty good, so, and there's not much to them, so I can't be bothered for now. But I'm going to whip the pistons and rods out now. That should tell us something. I really just want to see the pistons and see if there's any ring missing, because I can't work out what else that could be if it's not piston ring. But I don't know how that could happen without the bores being wrecked, and they're not. So let's have a look. fact that bearing don't seem to even want to come off the crank kind of worries me a bit. Well, it doesn't worry me because it's a part, but makes me wonder. Don't get me wrong, it's worn, but it wasn't wrote off. I wouldn't put that back in, but crank is mint. Next one. Same again, it's obviously worn out, but you know, it would have carried on. Crank is fine. 2 down, 2 to go. Actually, let's push these out the block as well. Other part of the bearing. Again, worn out but not damaged. This one, same, you know, old and knackered, but not super rough. Piston the first. Honestly, looks alright. Nothing obvious. Might well go again. The next piston. Some scratches, but again, nothing obvious. So still don't know where this metal's come from. This is cylinder number 1 now. Again, worn out, bit knackered, few scratches, but not like I've seen a lot worse. Other side, same. Number 1 piston. Still nothing I can see. It's all there. That is a bit of bearing. So it's number 4 is not healthy. The fact I can't get it, I can't even get the fuckers off the crank, and a good sign. There we go. Not too bad. It's span. Yeah, look, feel that. That's the outside. That's the. It's like it's spanner bearing. That's the big end bearing, and that is the bit that's meant to sit still in the rod, and it's meant to go around that. But this bit's worn. That is scratched to fuck, where it's span. I don't think any of the others were like it. No. So span number 4 big end bearing. Yeah, this one's scratched, but not as bad as that side. But yeah, that ain't good. Look at that. Actual. I mean, oh, hang on. I just even realised. You see the tang bits, the sticky out bit, that's meant to keep the bearing in the correct position. They've all got them. This one's actually fucking missing. It's ripped out. It's broken it off. I don't know if you can see that at all. Yeah, look, it is actually missing. Let's see if what else is knackered with it. Right. So this is the one that had the damaged bearing. Everything else looks alright, to be honest. Piston rings are not meant to be that fucking... Look. Literally so loose. I've never known them to be that loose. Literally can just... Look, they're just falling off. Never known them. Are they all like it? And I wouldn't say they're as bad as this one. That is slightly strange. Well, there's even more bits of metal. I don't know what that is. It's like... Actually, I'm not sure that's metal, but it's... Oh, it is. I find it hard to imagine me dismantling an engine this far and still not found where all of this metal's come from. Fuck it. Crank out it is then. Right. Let's do one at a time. Looks alright. It's got quite a bit of scoring. I'd say it's had it, oh, and on the crank, but it wasn't wrote off. Yeah, this one you can feel it with your nails. They'd had it for sure. Oh fucking hell. Don't know if you can see, but that's a big gouge. I don't know if the light will show you. Look at, see the big gouge down the middle. Fucking hell. Feels alright on the crank though. Right, that's the rear big end bearing off, the one with the thrust bearing on it as well. And as you can probably see by the line, it was close to being game over. But nah, it was still running. It was still, you know, it hadn't span, nothing. This crank is, nah. There's enough scoring on all of these that I'm not gonna keep it as a spare. One, yeah, 1, 3, 2 feels alright, 4's not too bad, 5 is quite bad. So yeah, the crank would need, I don't know if that's a polish or a grind, but either way, nah, it's not like they're fucking rare. I've got others. Don't think I need to keep it, although knowing me I probably will. Right, let's get it out. Let's have a look, see at these then. Block half of these bearings, none of them are too bad, honestly. You can see though why it wore a ridge in a few of them, look, because this side of the bearing has like an oil, well, it's where the oil ways are, and it's kind of like a little river that the other side hasn't got. If you know what I mean. Look, the other sides are plain and that side ain't, so it's that's how it feeds them. But also if the lubrication isn't working, which it clearly wasn't for at least some of its life, the piston, no, the crank main bearings are rubbing against that instead of floating on the film of oil, and has ground themselves some nice indents. Which, this is one of those chicken and egg scenarios. Really badly worn bearings will lower oil pressure. Can you imagine it's give itself a new fucking channel to go through, which means the oil's not going where it should because it's going the easy way, because it's wore itself a channel. But the reason the shit wears itself a channel is because there isn't enough lubrication in the first place. So yeah, it's one of them, what did what damage first, who knows. Still not sure where all this metal's from yet though. We're kind of down to a fucking bare block and we still aren't seen anything. Let me put the camera down a minute, I'll do some more inspecting. Just got the block side of the main bearings out and they're fine. They're fine. I'm kind of not surprised really, because obviously that is where the oil feed is, so if any side of the bearing is going to live, it's going to be the side where the oil's actually getting to it first. It's funny because obviously it's worn a ridge on the fucking crank, as I've shown you. There's, you know, but the actual bearings themselves don't look too bad. So where does all that fucking metal come from? There's not much left to take apart. I better have a closer look at these pistons. Well, I cleaned up the pistons and I'm still none the wiser. There's no piston damage, there's no ring line damage. The piston rings feel ridiculously loose, but I don't look like anything snapped off them. Even on the edges of the pistons, the worst scuffing is like that, and you can't even feel it. You can slightly feel it with your fingernail. Certainly can't feel it with your finger. I mean, these pistons look like they'll go again. I'm going to keep them, I think. But I better, I mean, I'm not going to reuse the rings because these are clearly gone. I mean, it's the only thing I can put the lack of compression down to because there's no other fucking damage. Right, got the rings off. This is the bottom ring. And these, well, 2 of the 4 of these literally were so brittle, even really gently taking it apart, they just snapped. But they wasn't broken on the car, so you can't blame them for anything. These are the top and middle piston rings. Again, none of them are broke. I'm not going to measure them like properly, but just by eye measuring, by lining up one side, you know, getting all 4, you know, the gap the same on one side, and looking at the other side and squeezing them together and whatever, there's a mil or 2 difference between certain ones, which is quite a lot, and no doubt they're all worn out. It's done 200,000 miles. I expect the ring gap's pretty fucking large, but they're not broken. The difference in ring gap on a couple of the pistons maybe is why there was low compression on a couple of them, though. Maybe. Again, it's not conclusive. There's nothing's fully fucking wrote off. But yeah, and it's the same on both. These maybe more so. You can't really see by eye, but when you line them up, they don't. The 2 of them, when 2 of them sit touching each other, 2 others, there's a gap, and it's much the same with them ones. You know, it doesn't. I don't care enough to measure things properly, but yeah, they're worn, and maybe the 2 that's worn more is why 2 was very low compression and 2 was just quite low compression. Because I can't see any other damage. The pistons are good, the balls are good. Obviously, we can see their bearings were a mixture of fucked and damn near fucked. But that wouldn't have affected the compression. As I've shown in previous videos, the heads, the valve seats were leaking a bit, but again, not bad enough to do that. So yeah, it's still a mystery where all this shit comes from. I mean, that's metal, dirty metal. It's gone black from being in the car ages, but it's metal. Weird. But yeah, this engine's fucked. The crank's not worth... Nah, I don't think the crank's worth fixing. Like, well, ever repairing. The rods, obviously, I'm never going to use when I get max speeding ones for 200 quid. Piston's alright. Block is... It could do with a rebore, but it's alright. So yeah, I am literally going to keep some of this for spares. But I'm just none the wiser where all this shit come from. The oil squirters are intact as far as I can tell. I've not taken them apart, but I know from taking the other ones off, there's nothing internally is really fuck all with them. So if they're not snapped off, then it's not relevant to that. The only thing still in the car now is in the block now, I mean, is the intermediate shaft which runs the oil pump. Potentially that has come from there, and maybe inside the oil pump even. fucking out of options now. I might as well take it apart and have a look. Right, that is the engine stripped, literally bare. That's the oil squirters. That is the intermediate shaft, which on these engines purely runs the oil pump, does nothing else. On earlier ones it ran the distributor as well. On these later ones, no, it just runs the oil pump, nothing else. But there's no damage. That's the oil pump drive itself. Again, it's fine. Yeah, it's not like there's any teeth missing off it or anything. I can see now why the car ended up with low oil pressure. Well, no, I can't. I can see the results of it, which might have been what caused it as well. Do you know what I mean? What I've already explained about the wear and the bearings. The rings, obviously they're all worn, but the fact that two sets, the gap is bigger than the other two, makes sense that there was two cylinders that was far lower than the others. But yeah, not the fucking disaster zone you might think. If anything, it shows how ridiculously fucking strong these engines are, because I mean, it's not been looked after at all. Not by me, not by previous owners, not by nobody. But yeah, I think just for fun now, I'm going to see if I can smash that oil return out from the inside, just to see how the hell they've held it in. I reckon it's JB weld, because I was wailing on it with a hammer and it was going nowhere. I even put a, it's got like two flat surfaces, so you can just about, by tapping it on with a hammer, get a 25mm spanner on it. And even with that, it was not budging. It chewed up the metal before it moved anywhere. And it's not like it was loose. I had to, you know, tap it on with a fucking hammer. So yeah, let me put the camera down again. I'm going to beat that a bit more, see if I can get it out. And then I'll show you what it is if I can get the fuck out. Well, there you go. I got it out. Here it is. I thought it'd be aluminium, but it's not. It's stainless steel by the looks of it. Yeah, well, pretty sure stainless. Looks like it. Heavy. Certainly steel. But weirdly, I was wrong. There's no, you know, there was no JB weld, no nothing. But even to get it out, I was smacking the fuck out of it with a hammer. Like from the inside, using a extension bar as my like drift. I mean, you can see, look, this is very hard stainless, and it's still dented the motherfucker. It was in tight. But, well, thanks, you know, thanks to it being stainless rather than some piece of shit aluminium, it's actually usable. I think I'll clean it up and use it on the new engine, you know. So it's quite a big return. It's not as big as the, look at the standard return, it's enormous. But I might modify this to, I don't know, I like the, I'm a big one for proper sized oil returns though. Because that's most people's problems with smoky turbos, is not a big enough oil return. And the standard oil return is huge. So I might, I don't know, not decided, but there's your answer there. Yeah, there's no O-ring or anything, and there's certainly no glue. It was just fucking super tight into the block. But there you go, now I know. I have learnt something. Just took the oil pump apart, and although it's not like broken, you can probably see it's very worn. It's wearing into the end of it on there, and you can't see, but I can feel it with my fingers. You can see it probably a bit. There's scoring on the walls as well, where I'm guessing this, the ends of this has been, well, this feels rough as well. So I'd say it's been coming into contact. So yeah, this is shagged as well. But again, what happened first? What caused what? I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of a typical, very worn out engine. Nothing magic, just worn out. But the fact it was still running like this says a lot about how good these bloody things are, how bulletproof they are. So yeah, I think that's enough of this. I've got a bit of tidying up to do. It's already, I don't know what time it is. It must be gone 9 o'clock. It's pretty much dark. The conclusion is inconclusive. Kind of disappointed because I expected to see carnage. Wow, that kind of is carnage, but I can't see where the fucking carnage came from. So, but either way, good old engine, worn out to fuck, and still ran. Good times.